So I want to tell you why I have a bone to pick with personal budgeting spreadsheets or just kind of budgets in general. The concept of having a budget is not a bad idea. I think it's a good exercise for people to go through. There's some areas where you can cut the fat. Is your spending kind of in line with your values and priorities? Not a bad exercise. The problem is when you take that budget and you start using it for planning purposes, and especially for retirement purposes. A lot of these budgets are really just not accurate. They create analytical overconfidence, and they can lead to some kind of poor decisions and poor planning for retirement. Now, a little about me. My name is Scott Caulfield. I'm a CPA and CFA charter holder and the founder of Sophos Wealth Management. I work with a lot of people who are entering retirement or in retirement and help them do retirement planning. And, as part of that, I always ask them for quite a big packet of information, right? We want to see their income, their assets, and expenses is such a huge piece of the puzzle, especially when planning for retirement. Now, I ask them usually to tell me an estimate of their expenses, and that's where we see a lot of these spreadsheets. But for me, the real money number here is their tax returns. We'll get 2 or 3 years of tax returns. When we look at these tax returns, we're going to look at their adjusted gross income, reduce it by the amount of taxes they had to pay, and that's going to give us an idea of what their take-home pay was. Once I know that take-home pay number, we're going to see, okay, what kind of adjustments do we need to make to that to get to your spending number? The biggest adjustments we're going to make are going to be around saving. Now, the adjusted gross income, the AGI, that's already taken into account retirement savings, at least into IRAs or 401ks. But if these clients have saved into a Roth, if they've saved into an investment account, if they've saved into just a checking or savings account, all of that, we would reduce that after-tax cash flow number by to get an idea of what their expenses are. Also, if we're planning on future things, there's other adjustments we're going to make. Like maybe they're paying for a kid's college education that they're not going to have to pay in the future. Often that's $30,000, $50,000. So that's a really big adjustment. Maybe they're paying out-of-pocket healthcare today at a much higher level than they'll have to pay for Medicare in the future. So, things like that can definitely be adjustments to that number. When we look at tax returns, that's just hard facts, right? That's just what it is, and what your savings is what it is. There's no opinions. Now, let's take a look at some of these budgeting spreadsheets. Every single time I see people come with these spreadsheets, I feel like they are often 30, 40% lower than that actual spending number based on the tax returns and adjustments and savings. And, you look at these spreadsheets, you think about, okay, I've got my mortgage and my credit card bills and my utilities and gas estimate and insurance. And, people think you can kind of get all the basics in there, but there's just no way to account for all the one-off items. There's just so frequently gonna be, oh man, we had to pay for a new roof this year. I mean, that would be a huge one. But whether it's appliances breaking down, whether it's new tires on your car, whether it's a trip, 1 or 2 of those a year, all of a sudden it's $1,000 here, $500 there, $600 there. And these are just really hard things to budget for. I just rarely see the budgets come close. And when most clients come, I would say on average, they're probably 30% too low. One of the closest I've seen was a client who just put, they actually didn't even put that much work into the budget, but they just put a huge miscellaneous line item. And to try to be conservative, they made it a pretty big number. And even then, I felt like it was a little bit lower than the number we got to based on their tax return. If you really think through this can just be massively problematic. I mean, if you think your spending number is $120,000, and in fact, it's $200,000, the amount of assets you need to support that differential in retirement is just massive. And you want to know that ahead of time, because if you're planning your retirement, you're planning a safe withdrawal rate based on an estimate of $120,000 cash flow need, and you're reducing that $120,000 by, let's say, Social Security or any pensions, that's a much smaller number than if you were to base it on a $200,000 number. And if you are already in retirement, when you come to the realization that, I can't really live off $120,000 or whatever it is, I'm just using this as an example, it's so much harder to go back to work or to change your lifestyle lifestyle or to downgrade than to know ahead of time, oh man, I need to rein things in now. I need to work longer. I need to make adjustments now. Budgeting spreadsheets, they certainly have a purpose. It's a great savings tool, and it's a great tool to just make sure that you're using your money the way you want to, but I do not like them for planning purposes. Hope you enjoyed this video. Appreciate it if you like it. Subscribe to my channel and share it with anyone you think would benefit. Thanks.